皆さんこんにちは。ネバネバチャンネルの弟子です。今日は週末ですが、ちょっと深刻なお話していきたいと思っておりますので、ぜひお話を聞いていただけたら嬉しいです。綺麗なロンドンでも当たり前のようにこのような、コロナによる汚染が見られます。
Hello again.
Hi.
Could you please maybe introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah.
We met at a conference about waste.
So I'm Sam. I'm the founder of Ministry of Waste, which is a social enterprise that is helping developing countries to build waste management infrastructure. Once the waste is collected, it needs to go somewhere. Unfortunately, unlike in Japan, I know that in many places in Japan, recycling happens at household to, on a very extensive level sometimes. I've heard a lot about Japanese recycling methods and how the Japanese are involved in making it happen, basically to a citizen level, which is quite amazing and a great example, I think, for everyone. But in developing countries, very often there's not even a collection. So that's where we're starting, by creating partnerships with governments and with the local government levels and saying, you do the collection, and instead of bringing it to the landfill, you bring it to our facilities, and then we will try and do something better with the material instead of it lying in a landfill forever.
Yeah, they're very, very great initiatives, the ones you work with and you work for. Where you say you work with a lot of developing countries, but actually waste is something that, it affects the whole world in some ways. I don't know if you can agree with me on that.
Hello, right? We're all interconnected. And I think as well with the pandemic, we can see how quickly, we move from one place to another and suddenly the whole planet is affected. It's quite similar to waste, and actually developed countries are shipping waste to developing countries to get rid of it. UK, German, French waste. In Malaysia and Indonesia, it's just how it is. But things are getting better because actually a lot of the countries have now signed something called the Basel Convention. US did not sign, even though US is one of the biggest exporters of waste to developing countries. So it's getting better, but I think there's much more we can still do. So yeah, waste is something that affects everyone.
I really liked how you mentioned the similarity between how waste affects everybody and in the same way as the pandemic right now. Can you tell me something about the environmental impact of the pandemic?
I think it showed us a few really important things and taught us some lessons, some really hard lessons, because I know that when we looked at all the carbon emissions and just how things are going in terms of us using our cars less, it still shows that, the impact was quite small. Okay, you see pictures from China comparing to China blue skies from last year the same time, how the smog was there, which is all nice and fluffy and kind of green news that we all want to hear to feel better about ourselves and to feel better that, okay, I'm in lockdown, at least I'm contributing to the planet. But at the same time, the e-commerce statistics have risen through the roof. We've been shopping a lot. My housemates have been shopping even more. So just to mark my points, I understand that for a lot of people, shopping is maybe a coping mechanism, given what's happening, And plus, on top of that, a lot of people have been doing a lot of house cleanings. Just across the road from me, there's a charity shop, and the queue of people bringing things was just huge.
Oh gosh, I can imagine. Yeah, so having time at home, they were trying to get rid of all of the things, doing the decluttering.
Yeah, and I was in a queue with my housemates. Obviously, we did some decluttering, Marie Kondo style.
It's actually really interesting to hear and to think about how actually people, even by being at home, they've been producing even more waste.
Imagine even food waste has increased.
Even food waste. How so?
Because and now people are at home, so they buy more food, which they then not necessarily eat because maybe they don't have time, maybe they're stressed.
How do you think that people could kind of fulfill this need? So while being at home with maybe like less to do and this like need to buy, how could that be kind of pushed down? Yes.
Try to engage your mind with something that it's curious about. Learn a new thing. What I mean, something that really feeds your soul and your inner happiness. Yeah, maybe try to find what makes you happy creatively. Creativity is what really feeds our happiness hormones. So stick with that. Or if you haven't found something, find out. I love Pinterest. So yeah, I just wish people would find the things they love, because then shopping wouldn't be on their mind,
Well, at the end of the day, one maybe thinks that it fulfills, it kind of fills in a gap, but then maybe not, it's not real, and so then you go on and buy the next thing and buy the next thing, but then it's never it never helps, does it?
Have you noticed how often when we buy something new, we are happy for a little moment maybe, but it's quite quickly wears off?
Yes.
And the item that we own becomes just another thing in your wardrobe.
Yeah.
Could I maybe talk about a little bit about the whole mask and glove situation? For 1 week in July, for the NHS, the government had distributed over 134 million PPE items that are only for health and social care services in England. Since 25th of February, when they kind of started to purchase things more, when they felt, okay, things are going really bad here, the Department of Health and Social Care has distributed over 2.2 billion items. So not million but billion, and obviously all of these are really needed, especially in health and social care.
Yes.
There's no way they can go without it, obviously. And now we too, maybe not the gloves, but the masks are obviously obligatory now in the UK. Health and social care workers obviously have the necessary means to dispose of these. It all goes in specific bins, and then actually I know that here in Addenbrooke's it all gets incinerated, or a lot of it gets incinerated. The problem though obviously becomes when the general public like you and I start to wear disposable masks, single-use masks, single-use gloves, and then they end up polluting the environment. And actually in all the environments, like let's say in the city, you can actually come across masks and gloves quite often, just being on the road, on the street, people. And I'm rather sure, obviously in Japan, a lot of people already usually wear masks. So I think there's a different habit or different attitude towards it. But everywhere else, we definitely need to start to up our game and become better at disposing of them properly.
Yes. I was first wondering whether you could tell me something more about the life of a mask. So what happens? Because as you say, also in Japan, people use masks, but disposable ones, on a daily basis. It's kind of like a habit to wear masks, even if you're not ill, just in general, on the train packed with people. And I can understand it, but not being reusable, I think it's kind of like a. Do you think does that generate a lot of waste in general?
Yes, single-use masks will amount to a huge waste problem actually, because the mask consists on different materials. Even then, it can't be separated out of the general waste stream. So another thing maybe that Japan should think about is, or any country, is to have bins in public places, let's say train stations, where you can just dump your used mask. For example, when you come out of the train station, because then they could be accumulated in one specific facility and actually dealt with properly in terms of recycling it into a new material, new fiber or something, instead of it being burnt or going to the landfill. But I think in UK it's looking pretty grim, because most of the UK general waste, where these masks are being thrown in right now, are going to the landfill. So I would definitely suggest for everyone, each of us individually, to think about actually investing in a reusable mask. So yeah, just invest. That's like the only small big thing you can do as a person. Invest and buy yourself a reusable mask. And I don't know, find a social enterprise where some grandmas are sewing them, you know, or something that you will feel actually someone who's put some thought, you know. Get a funny one, get one with flowers on it, like make it part of your outfit. I don't know, like, but someone should, and I'm sure already someone is doing it, but someone should really get together and think about different, a bit more innovative ways of maybe how we can protect ourselves. I'm sure we can find innovative ways, and Japan is always, you know, quirky and has all kinds of fun ideas that they, don't know, inspiring from mangas that they could maybe use.
Do you know what they did? I saw their latest invention is this mask that translates into 10 different languages. So I saw they did that, and people are using it in the government.
That's so awesome. Cool. Well, I hope that we just gonna come up with other ideas and innovative ways how to protect ourselves. But yeah, it's an interesting journey. We don't have a rule book, do we, right? So
thank you so much for all the insights.
You're welcome.